Thank you all for tuning into Kaya's Corner. Today I am interviewing Michael Coleman. He plays the character of Happy for the Once Upon a Time TV series. How are you doing today, Mr. Coleman?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic.
Good.
First off, I'd like to thank you for agreeing to this interview today, and let's just get started. First off, I'd like to get into a casting question. How did you get to the part
Sure.
of Happy to begin with, and where were the auditions held, and any particular character in mind you actually auditioned for, whether it was strictly Happy or somebody else?
Yeah, no, I only ever auditioned for Happy, and they auditioned the roles all over the place, actually. I auditioned in Vancouver, where the show is shot, and my wife and I, they had done several rounds of casting, and they hadn't found all the characters. I mean, a show like this becomes a big flagship show, and they do lots of rounds of casting, and I wasn't brought in until later rounds of casting, and fortunately for me, my wife and I had just found out that we were pregnant with our first child. So I remember Mark Mylod, who went on to go direct and many episodes of Game of Thrones right after he left us on the pilot episode of Once Upon a Time. I remember he and a few of the others were in the room, and casting directors, and they said, "So are you happy?" And I said, "I just found out I got my wife pregnant. I dare you to prove otherwise." And so we all had a good chuckle, and it was sort of took off from there. I was luckily auditioning at arguably the happiest moment of my entire life. So that good fortune brought me some good luck, and yeah.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. What are your thoughts of the show as a whole?
I think it's really amazing. I think it's a cool thing to be a part of. I think it's these classic fairy tales that represent so many different things to so many different people. The ideas of hope and redemption, family, all these core universal themes, and playing out in various elements of characters. When I grew up, we had a little Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs porcelain set in the kitchen, which my mother gave to me when I booked the show. And I think it's really cool to get to be a part of something that is such an iconic part of so many of our childhoods and adulthoods. It's really cool to be a part of that.
I believe it. Actually, that's one of the reasons why I started doing the segment all based on Once Upon a Time, because I've been following the show since the pilot. And even all the new episodes, it's just changed so much of how I view fairy tales in general.
Yeah. No, I think the writers did an amazing job in spinning some familiar characters into some new ideas, and still staying true to everything we know about them. It reminds me a lot of what the musical Broadway show Wicked did with the whole Wicked Witch story. I think that was kind of cool, and yeah, I think that's really cool.
Who is your favorite character or moment on the set or behind the scenes? What was your favorites while you were filming the episodes that you were?
To be honest with you, we did the show for such a long time that it's probably the whole series as a whole. Most of those cast members have become like family to me. They're some of our closest friends. Many of us, Josh and Ginny, Emily, trying to go through the whole list here. We all had kids around the same time. So, our kids have grown up around the same time, and we all grew up around this really cool, fun fairy tale thing when our kids were all in the very early stages of life. And I would say I don't have a favorite character. It's because it's the entire cast is like family, and the crew. Everybody. It's a unique show too, and it's I'd say we have a unique experience like I've never seen on any show I've ever worked on with the fans. So cast, crew, and fans have become this sort of unique dynamic that I anticipate will all be connected for the rest of our days, which is unique.
I read that the series was doing a final casting call for all the actors for once. Have you decided whether or not you would like to go back into it for the finale, or is that something you're still debating on, or you just didn't want to do?
I am not going to go back for the finale. I got to say my goodbyes at the end of season 6. So the wedding scene in season 6 was sort of the an opportunity for a lot of us to say goodbye to the original story arc, and I'm thrilled with that opportunity, and I got to say all my proper goodbyes to everybody back then.
Okay, that's cool.
And like I said, I still see 90% of the cast on a regular basis. They're some of my closest friends, so I will see all of them for the rest of their days. Captain Hook, Robin Hood, Balefire, the Dwarfs, Jiminy Cricket, Regina, Snow, Charming, all good friends. So I look forward to what our next adventure will be in the real world.
Nice. So how has your life changed from when you started as a stand-up comedian to now being on actual television and things like that?
Well, it's interesting. I've been doing this long enough now, several decades, where I've, not to steal from the show I've been working on, but I've seen the wizard behind the curtain, and I've had a chance to work in film, television, video games. I've voiced a bunch of cartoons. I've been on stage a bunch, and I'm not entirely sure what my next chapter will be. I think the greatest role I've ever had in my life is to be a husband and a father. And I've got two amazing daughters who are aged 2 and 6, an amazing wife. And we're at a phase of life where we're not entirely sure what the next chapter will bring. We always keep all doors open. It's interesting. A lot of times actors will define themselves by that's their core ingredient, that's who we are, what we are. And I like to think that I'm a father and a husband first, and maybe a son and a brother second, and a friend third. And what I do for work is somewhere down the line. So, I would say I'm grateful for all the opportunities I've had, but I'm not sure what the next chapters will bring.
I completely agree with you, which is why I said tomorrow I wasn't available, because it's my daughter's birthday party, and family is always first.
It is, right. That's fantastic. Same with me.
Yeah.
My wife and kids come to all the fan conventions with me, or at least most of them. And if I'm not on stage, I'm with them, and we're going on adventures. And we have a good time.
Okay, here we go. You wrote, directed, and acted in the movie 3017 back in 2016.
Yeah.
How was the overall experience, and what inspired you to write the script to begin with?
Well, there's a few things. So I've written a bunch of scripts, and I had a production company wanting to do a feature film that I had written, and they liked the idea, but it was a teenage comedy, and they wanted me to do the exact same script but with adults. So I said, challenge accepted, and constructed basically a movie about a bunch of 37-year-olds who go back to high school for 1 month, which is perfect timing with the whole Ready Player One coming out this weekend, and this whole throwback. The film that we shot is a huge throwback to the 80s. Lots of great homages to not just the pop culture references, but the way it was shot, and the type of humor, and the type of characters that are there. And I'm excited. I actually am sitting down tomorrow with the other producers, and we are screening it for the first time tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So I'm super excited about that project.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I promise.
I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
Okay, what sort of visual effects did you do for the movie 888? Because I saw you were on the visual effects department for that.
I did, yeah. This was one of my first projects that I had done. It was a 6-episode television series, and I've always been a little bit ambitious, so I learned how to do visual effects and editing for that project specifically, because I had a very specific idea that I wanted for the visuals and for the audio, and I foolishly at a younger age thought the only way I'd get it is if I actually did it myself. So that series is about a small convenience store that is the nexus of space and time, and effectively the shopkeeper and the regular customers, whenever they get stressed out, it has an effect on everything in the universe. It was sort of symbolically an idea that we're all interconnected, and all maybe feeling like we have a little bit more impact on the rest of the world than we necessarily do, or maybe we actually do. So this was every episode was just absolutely loaded with special effects. projects because we time traveled. We traveled through various dimensions of, you know, not just time but of space and all sorts of things. So we did crazy amounts of visual effects. It was, again, my very first project, so I would say the effects were quite limited compared to what we do now, but it was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cool. That reminds me a lot of Sliders.
Yeah, yeah, it had some elements of Sliders in it. It had a little bit of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So I am a lifelong nerd, and this was my nerd comedy at its finest. So the jokes were ridiculous, often played at multiple levels. Funny for those who like a good pie in the face. Also funny for those who like something a little bit more intellectually stimulating and yeah, dealing with Schrodinger's cat and things like that. So yeah, we did a whole bunch of crazy things on all sorts of levels. It was a crazy cool project.
I need to check that out. I definitely need to check that one out. Okay.
I think we're. I think Funny or Die has all of our episodes still. So.
Oh really? What was that called again, so I can write that down?
Funnyordie.com. So I think that's where you can still find that 6-episode series.
Okay, I need to check that out. That sounds really cool. Okay. Alright, so what sort of projects do you plan on doing going forward if you decide to keep doing the television route?
Well, right now I've got a film that was, I played Dr. Watson in a movie, a Sherlock Holmes film that was based on a story by Stephen King, and that's just doing the festival circuit now. Got 3017 coming out, and outside of that I don't have any immediate plans to do anything. Again, I'm looking forward to spend some time with my wife and kids, and yeah, it's one of those things you don't really know what you're going to do next until it lands on your lap. There's lots of things I think I'd still like to say and do in the creative world, but I don't have any specific things in mind yet.
Well, that's it for the actual interview. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, just thank you for taking the time out of your day to ask some fun questions, and this was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you so much again. And everyone, this is Michael Coleman, again, the voice of the character of Happy for Once Upon a Time. And check out his other current projects. His website link is in the description below, and as well as his Twitter account for the social media.